advocates in the Nordics and Baltics. And it's a complete honour to stand in front of such a distinguished audience, ladies, gentlemen, and excellencies as well here. We have representatives from all 8 Nordic and Baltic countries here. We have the Tech UK President, we have RussShaw, who's the founder of Tech London Advocates. We have the Nordic and Baltic Director from the UK Trade and Investment. We have the Danish Foreign Office. We have the Copenhagen City Council that gave us an amazing quote about the importance of Tech Nordic Advocates locating its head office in Copenhagen. We have senior tech leaders, we have entrepreneurs, we have investors, we have press and media, photographers, videographers, and whatnot. A very warm welcome to all of you. It's a real pleasure to have you, and thank you for travelling to Copenhagen to join us. And what is really a bit of a historic event, isn't it, Russ?
Yes.
Since that, Tech Nordic Advocates is the first non-UK operation of Tech London Advocates, who are on a global expansion journey. Russ will tell you more about that in a second, and we are first stop on that journey, so we are absolutely excited about that. Thank you also to Gate 21 and Dole for hosting us here today. So I was about to say hands up, but I'm not going to put anybody to shame, so I won't ask a question. But what I will tell you is you are standing in the middle of Europe's biggest living lab for outdoor LED lighting. How many people knew that? You did, some people. I will put this in after all. This is Europe's biggest living lab for outdoor street lighting that is on show at 13 kilometers of road around us, where the latest LED lighting technology solutions and smart urban services are being tested by players from across the technology and lighting ecosystem. So a real tribute to Nordic innovation, so what better place to have the TNA launch right here. Thank you to Gate 21 and Dole. The director of Gate 21 is standing there, his hand up, Paul. Kim Åström is the CTO of Dole, and we have press and media, and Jakob is the director of Living Labs. He's standing somewhere as well, so if you're interested in talking to them, I'm sure they would be absolutely delighted to. Ross is going to talk to you a bit about where and how it all started a couple of years ago in London. I have a very simple message to you, and that is that the aim of Tech Nordic Advocates is to become Northern Europe's leading driving force for tech innovation and growth. Yeah? Keep it simple, big aim, simple message. That's what we want to do. And we want to do that by supporting high growth startups, established technology companies gain access to startups, and help the both established companies and tech startups access talent across borders in the Nordics and the Baltics, and build a bridge to London and the international technology community. So the space is very fragmented, and this is what Russ and I hear in London all the time, that the London technology sector doesn't know how to play with the Nordics, as they tend to put it. And people in the Nordics and the Baltics often say we don't know how to play with London or Silicon Valley either. So we want to try and tackle some of those challenges and really help create an ecosystem and collaboration across the countries in the Nordics and Baltics, and working closely with Tech London Advocates to really build a bridge between the different technology hubs. So big aim, but they've done it in London, and we want to do it here too. Why? Because the Nordic and Baltics are already on the world's radar screens as far as technology is concerned. We've all seen Skype, we've seen Spotify, Zendesk, Just Eat, and TransferWise, Unity Technologies that are here today, Unwire, Rovio, many prominent examples of technology startups in the Nordics and Baltics that have grown and scaled globally. So we are on the world's radar screens. This tech space is the fastest growing tech industry sector across all the 8 economies, Because so much is happening right now in tech, we see startup communities shooting up. In Copenhagen, there's a growing startup community in Kista and Stockholm. I've just recently come back from the Baltics myself, and did a tour with the British ambassador and saw firsthand what is happening in Vilnius and in Riga and in Tallinn. And it's absolutely awesome how the governments have put their momentum behind growing the startup space and how they're doing it so quickly. So much is happening. And because of what has happened in London, there is a recipe there that we can really copy and replicate and try and create the same successes. But there are challenges, as I said. Startups find it really hard to access finance. They tend to look on their own doorstep. In Copenhagen, there's a number of startup communities, same in Stockholm, same in Oslo, and the Baltic capitals. They tend not to look outside. How do they find the investors they really need? How do investors find the startups that are really interesting to their portfolios? How do you recruit tech talent, which is really scarce, if you only look inside your own country? How do you collaborate, and so on? So we want to address some of these challenges together across borders, help you all build scale, help you all access talent, help you all access finance, and so on. So we need to work together. And that is starting to happen. I was a judge at a technology startup pitching session here in the Nordics only a couple of months ago. And I was absolutely staggered by how each and every team was made up by pan-Nordic nationals and a couple of Brits. And I thought, this is absolutely amazing how, in my generation, maybe some of yours, you would kind of get together with folks that you knew from your own country. The way the young people work these days, they're saying, hey, you know, there's a guy who's really good at marketing, he's in Oslo, and there's this guy, he's a technologist, he's in Stockholm. And technology is breaking down boundaries and borders. And that's what we need to play with and stimulate. Yeah, that's what the younger generation are doing. So let's put some momentum behind that. But we need to do more, and that is what TNA is all about. We're about creating a platform for collaboration, an ecosystem, you know, getting to know people outside of our own country to, you know, build scale and so on, and some of the points that I already made earlier. That is what we are going to do, and we're going to do that through our working groups, which is how we work. So today's a party, we're launching a new organisation, but we can't really achieve very much by having events or just conferences. So the way we work is through working groups. I'm going to walk over here so you can see. So we have set up 12 working groups already for TNA in areas that you have told us are important to the technology space in the Nordics and the Baltics. These are areas where the Nordics and Baltics have unique capabilities and competitive advantage. We want to leverage that and work in subgroups within Tech Nordic Advocates to get things done. That's what we're about. We're a senior community of investors, leaders, and entrepreneurs, and we want to get things done. We want to stimulate opportunities in creative tech, in green tech, in data analytics. We want more women to join the tech space. We want e-health and biotech to grow, and so on and so forth. That will take place within working groups that tend to work together on an informal basis, meet once every 3 months or so, chaired by an individual, boy or girl, who will want to do stuff and achieve things in the individual subgroups, who will bring a team of people together who share his or her interest to grow a particular subsector. And Russ will talk to you more about what has been achieved within the working groups in Tech London Advocates. But suffice to say, I'll come back to that later on, we need you to join the working groups, and we need you to chair the working groups, and we need you to help us make things happen. Before I hand over to Russ, I want to thank a couple of people. I want to thank our launch sponsors, Citrix, who are here today, so a round of applause for Citrix. Here from Jacqueline, GM for Northern Europe for Citrix in a moment, and Mass, GM for Citrix Denmark, is on the panel. We've also got D. Young & Co., an intellectual property law firm specialising in the tech sector in the UK here. Are you here? Janette, Anthony, Holling, and Donna are here. And you see the brochures in the event programme. And we have Computer Weekly, and some of you may have seen that we had an incredible write-up by Computer Weekly only a couple of days ago, and that was in the launch of TNA here. So thank you to the sponsors and to the partners. Without you, we wouldn't be standing here today. So thank you very much. And thank you also to all of our other partners who are helping us spread the message around the world, in the Nordics, in the Baltics, and across the world, communicating about TechNordic Advocates. We have several write-ups out in the digital world the last few days, and so thank you so much for all of what you're doing. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to TechNordic Advocates, and please give it up for the man who started it all.
Thank you, Jeanette. Good afternoon, everyone. I have probably about 2 or 3 minutes of just formal remarks that I wanted to take you through, and then Jeanette's going to come back up, and we're going to do a bit of a Q&A session to try and make Tech London Advocates and TechNordic Advocates a bit more real and tangible in terms of what we're up to. So it's great to see all of you here. Welcome, TechNordic Advocates, Tech London Advocates, and guests. And you want me to move over here. Is that better? There we go. Thank you. Okay. And Jeanette, a huge thank you to you and your team for bringing us all together for this incredibly exciting launch. Thank you. Now, I founded Tech London Advocates back in April 2013 because I saw an important role for leaders, for entrepreneurs and investors from the private sector to come together to promote an emerging tech ecosystem across London. Now, both the UK government and the London city government, I think, have been doing a very good job promoting London tech and creating supportive policy. But my strong belief is that it must be leaders from the private sector who will promote growth in digital and tech. Why? Because it is really down to us to have the ideas, the creativity, the funding, and the vision to build startups and scale-ups into world-leading businesses. Now, when I first met Jeanette, and I remember that very nice afternoon tea we had at the Four Seasons, what, about 1.5 years ago, I think it was, Jeanette came to me and I felt, to talk about Tech London Advocates, and I felt we were kindred spirits. And since that time, she had this idea about launching this across the Nordics and the Baltics. And I think as part of this journey that we are all taking together, and this is a journey that we're on, it's exciting for me to see and meet leaders like Jeanette, who really have the vision and the aspiration to take a successful model that we've been building in London and to bring it to the Nordic markets and the Baltics. My view is that we will collectively build a vibrant technology sector across the European continent. The tech tent, as we call it, is enormous. And as technology transforms virtually every single industry, working together to help one another to grow, to expand, to fund, to coach, and mentor will collectively make our technology communities much more vibrant, dynamic, and resilient. Now, and Jeanette alluded to this is not going to be an easy journey. There are very significant challenges and obstacles that are in our path. And we share some of these same challenges, such as finding world-leading talent. But others are unique to our respective cities and regions. And what I've learned in London is that the private sector can identify and drive solutions to address these roadblocks to create an environment that's conducive to growth and success. And as we extend the Advocates organization internationally, and this is really the first attempt to do that, so congratulations and thank you, I really think that the spirit of collaboration and partnership will underpin future progress. On a personal note, I guess I would have never guessed that over 2 years ago, that Tech London Advocates as an organization would grow to over 2,200 across London, the UK, and in over 20 countries and territories around the world. I would not have imagined that we would have 20 working groups focused on some of the themes and issues that Jeanette showed you on the slide behind us. You know, when we look at areas like immigration, infrastructure, women in tech, cyber, fintech, health tech, retail tech, etc. And that we would be extending to areas like Bangalore. We have a TLA Bangalore working group. To China, we have a TLA China working group. We've done events in New York. I'm going back to San Francisco for a second time in December to host a TLA event there because we have nearly 100 advocates in the San Francisco Bay Area, which this organization and this community can fully embrace. It's about the network. It's about building this community together. And I guess I certainly would have not guessed that Tech London advocates would be sitting alongside TechNordic advocates here in Copenhagen, which I think is a true testimony to entrepreneurship, creativity, and ultimately that a belief in community of leaders that can make it all happen. So, as I usually say in all of my other events that I do in London, our journey continues. Jeanette, thank you very much, and thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Russ. Without Russ, we wouldn't be standing here yet. I wanted to ask a couple of questions, and maybe there are people in the audience that would like to ask a couple of questions as well, just before we hand over to Jeff, and we can have a panel as well.
Yep.
So, I understand what Tech London is, and we had a number of folks in London only a few days ago who came to the Tech London Advocates Summit,
yes,
which was amazing at the Olympic Stadium in Stratford. So, so those of you who were there understand what TLA was about. To give people in the room a little bit of a flavour of what actually happens. So, what really happens in the working groups? What do they do? What have they achieved? And so on.
Okay, thank you. What I try and do is to bring the group together twice a year. Because I feel, I like to say I'm not in the events business, but I think that as a network and a community, we need to come together and give the group an opportunity to meet one another and network with each other. And both Jeanette and Jacqueline, who you'll hear from in just a moment, have spoken at these events. And those events usually have a theme. We've had events focused on London's infrastructure, on the importance of digital skills. Our most recent event we called The Many Faces of London Tech was about all of the, what we call emerging tech verticals, like fintech and retail tech and health tech and cyber tech, and why this is interesting and important for London. But what I also think is hugely important for this organization is that we have things that happen, that I describe, happen at a grassroots level, and that's where the working groups come into play. To give you an example of what some of the working groups do, immigration is a very hot issue in London, and we do have a shortage of talent. Our startups and our scale-ups are growing so quickly that they simply cannot recruit enough homegrown talent to come into those businesses. So we need to have an important message around immigration. We've worked with the Home Office, and we do a program called Home Office Hours,